Well, good morning, everybody. It's your arborist in training here, and over here at the Japanese maple nursery. And I want to take a quick walk through while I'm walking through this particular area of the garden. And I want to show you some things to worry about and to not worry about. And one thing that I've noticed is people are always worried about sun scorch. Sun scorch is not a big deal. You see that it's happening here, and it's happening up here. It's probably the more extreme version. And I guess it could be potentially some type of fungus, but the reason I'm not leaning towards that is because it's sections of the tree and not the entire tree. You know, if you look in the middle, everything looks great still. Okay. And, you know, sun scorch can happen on new growth. It is more fragile, and that is normal. Now, if you're noticing it start to take over more than about 30 to 40% of the tree, you do want to go ahead and move it to a shadier spot. You got some really pretty new growth here. See that? And so you also want to check for stuff like, you know, mildew and all sorts of fungal issues. This guy should probably be staked up. Got some blood goods here. These are some guys that I staked up. I wanted to do some fairly interesting staking with this one in particular. Put a big bend here. And, you know, while we're talking about this guy, you see this bend? This is a nice bend. You don't want to go any more extreme than that. But you do want natural movement. And you see all this new growth here. These are called coral bark maples. The reason they're called coral bark is because of the bark. Or not coral bark, sorry, paper bark. Coral bark is a different species entirely. But these paper barks are really cool. Love the leaves. I love the bark. And the really interesting thing is that they don't make a mess like you would expect them to make. The bark is so light and so airy that by the time it falls and hits the ground, you'll come out here the next day and there is nothing. There is nothing, just these tiny little remnants of what used to be on the tree. And all of these are looking fairly healthy. The reason I'm shaking them is because I'm trying to see if any powdery mildew or anything that looks out of place falls out. These are the smaller plants in 3 gallons. Okay, these are just these aren't even maples. These are just things that I think they wanted to plant in other areas. Now this guy's impressive and should be probably staked. There's a tall guy there. These are all 10-gallon trees. Yeah, some of these need staking real bad. This guy's actually doing pretty well for not having a stake. So we have sprayed fungicide in this area already. Look at these butterflies, man. Look at this new growth. Look at this new growth. You cannot beat that. That is pink. That is green. I have one of these myself. That is just gorgeous. You know. Awesome. Well, hope you guys enjoyed this little walkthrough. And I hope you learned a thing or two. And stop freaking out over this small stuff, guys. You know, scorched like this, it's gonna happen. You know, it's normal. Especially if you live in a hotter zone. Your Texas folks, your southeastern folks, your Florida folks. You know, like, it is going to be a lot for these plants to handle. And so you've got to be, now this is what you've got to be weary of. You see, that looks fungal because it is pretty much on every place, even at the top of the tree. So that is an issue. It's a big issue. And if you see how that growth is stunted here, that's another huge sign. So that tree is going to get some treatment later. But, oh, we got some Samaras on this bloodgood here. It's awesome. But yeah, I hope this has helped you identify some things to worry about and some normal things to where you can just continue business as usual and continue caring and tending for your trees. Because not every little imperfection is going to be a big deal. These are living organisms, and just like us as people, there are good seasons, there are bad seasons. Sometimes we get a little sick unexpectedly, and sometimes we feel like maybe on a hot summer day it's better to sit in the shade than out in the sun. But that being said, have a great day, guys.